Have you ever felt like you're grinding away, working incredibly hard, but somehow you're still just kind of drifting without a real destination? You're definitely not alone. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a really fascinating concept known as the GIDAF framework. It's basically a method to help you stop running those obsolete operating systems in your mind and start actively architecting your life for well-rounded success without hitting that dreaded burnout. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at what happens when life hits zero, map out the GIDAF design cycle, discover your self-vision, figure out how to blend your high and low visions, and finally, unlock your given gifts. Let's get right into it. Section 1. When life hits zero, the foundation for a reboot. To really wrap our heads around this framework, we have to look at the author's own origin story. He was this highly driven network manager, basically running on an outdated, completely unpatched internal operating system. He actually described his daily grind like this: I was dragging like chariot wheels on a sandy desert until an eventful morning came when I woke up broken, weak, and could not rise from bed. I mean, wow. He literally collapsed from overworking and neglecting his internal balance. And that frightening hospital stay, that became the catalyst for a massive life shift. He felt totally deflated, like a flat tire, and realized that all of his professional visions could literally die with him if he didn't fundamentally change his approach. And that brings us to what we call the knockdown moment. Think about computer programming for a second. Everything starts with zeros and ones, right? Well, the author argues that you absolutely need the zeros in life too. This knockdown moment is a forced physical or emotional pause caused by burnout. It acts as a necessary foundation, a literal 0 point for a complete life reboot. So the really crucial takeaway here is that hitting zero is not the end. It's actually a forced maintenance window. It forces you to stop running those obsolete habits and initiate a complete system reboot. It's the exact moment you stop letting life just happen to you and start actively designing it. Moving on to Section 2, the GIDAF design cycle, architecting human life. Now, what's super interesting about this next concept is how we can take enterprise architecture and apply it directly to the human soul. If you're familiar with the corporate IT world, you know there's this massive framework called TOGAF, the Open Group Architecture Framework. It's used to systematically build and maintain incredibly complex enterprise IT systems so they don't just crash and burn. Well, the author took that exact structural concept and flipped it to create GIDAF, Global Insights for Designing Advanced Fronts. But instead of focusing on technology and external business systems, GIDAF focuses purely on human life, your personal soul, and your internal processes. It brilliantly illustrates how you can map a professional framework methodology directly onto your own personal well-being. It's all about preventing a sudden system failure right at the pinnacle of your career, ensuring your internal software is fully updated to handle all your external demands. To actually make this work, the framework is broken down into 5 macro phases. First up, we have pre-vision, which is all about discovering your core identity. Then there's hypervision, where you blend your big picture dreams with those gritty, detailed daily plans. Next is activision. That's the doing, the actual execution and action. After that is provision, centering entirely on your resources and your supply. And finally, postvision, which is all about the impact you leave behind, your ultimate legacy. When we step back and look at these 5 macro phases, we can see the sheer scope of this methodology. It functions a lot like the core connectivity layer on a network, ensuring that every single part of your life is logically linked, highly secure, and operating at maximum efficiency. Which brings us to Section 3, discovering your self-vision, the identity center. So diving into this pre-vision phase, it essentially forces us to answer the absolute hardest question: who are you? To figure that out, we have to compare 2 completely different modes of seeing. First, we have eyes open. This is entirely external. It's characterized by constant busyness, observing our surroundings, and, endlessly chasing those societal metrics of success. But then we have eyes closed, the internal view. This is where we actually find inner purpose, true identity, and deep reflection. We constantly have to juggle and juxtapose this eyes-open pursuit of external success with the eyes-closed internal vision. Because let's be real, if you don't know who you are on the inside, you're just driving a car without a destination. The framework argues that true identity normalization has to happen here first. You simply cannot successfully output value to the marketplace if your tank is empty inside. Section 4. Blending high and low visions, from macro to micro. All right, so this phase is where the rubber meets the road. It's where your massive, lofty dreams absolutely must connect to your daily routines. And it all kicks off with your high vision. Your high vision is that ultimate big picture life statement. It's the thing that drives your very existence and gives you a deeply compelling reason to live. Think of it as your ultimate destination pinpointed on a map. Your high vision acts just like a magnifying glass, taking these tiny, unassuming seeds of purpose and amplifying them into your ultimate life statement. Without having this high-level destination clearly defined, any effort you put in is honestly just wandering aimlessly. But hey, we all know a vision without execution is just an illusion, right? So you've got to break that massive target down into low-level, smart, daily actions. It's a lot like setting up guidelines before you dig a farm. The source material shares this fantastic anecdote about agriculture students who tried to dig planting ridges as fast as possible, but they skipped setting up their guiding ropes and pegs first. The result? They ended up with completely crooked lines and had to start the whole thing over. Well, life is exactly the same way. You have to translate your massive vision by doing 3 things. Step 1, deconstruct the massive goal. Step 2, define smart, measurable criteria. And step 3, execute daily, granular actions. You hammer in your starting peg today, you place your destination peg way out in the future, and you run a tight line between them to guide your daily work. To actually pull off those daily actions, we enter the provision phase, Section 5, unlocking your given gifts, accessing your life base. The author refers to your internal repository of resources as your life base. And what's really cool is that your life base spans across time. From your past years, you can pull your inherited traits, your learned skills, and yes, even your painful experiences. In your present day, you access your current inherent gifts, and incredibly importantly, your relationships with the people around you, what the framework calls your vision helpers. Then, from your future decades, you can actually pull back imagined realities and download visions of what you want tomorrow to look like. You basically get to query this massive internal database every single day to fuel your journey. Now, so often, we look completely outside of ourselves for the answers, right? We look for external capital or resources to finally start our life's work. But this framework pushes a massive perspective shift. It is incredibly empowering to realize that 80%, yes, 80% of your value pack is already enclosed right there within you, just waiting for you to provide the spark. You don't need to wait around for perfect conditions. Actually, scratch that. Perfect conditions don't exist. You don't need to wait until you have every external resource perfectly lined up. The real heavy lifting is done by the completely unique, unrepeatable combination of your mind, your experiences, and your own internal drive. So, as we wrap up this explainer on the GIDAF cycle, I want to leave you with a real provocation to ponder today. You are uniquely designed, so what will your life statement be? Are you going to just keep running on an obsolete operating system, waiting for a catastrophic knockdown moment to force a reboot? Or are you going to take the time today to close your eyes, find your internal vision, peg your lines firmly to the future, and actively design your life? Ultimately, the choice is entirely yours.